Hello, everyone. So after Jan Nepomniachtchi won the candidates tournament over a week ago, he became the challenger to Magnus Carlsen to go after the World Chess Championship crown. Today, I'm going to show you one of his best games ever. It was played in 2018 in the Olympiad against Etienne Bacrot, one of the top players from France, another grandmaster. So let's take a look at the game. Knight f3, d5, e3. Nepomniachtchi is leaving opening theory out here because there's many options that he can choose. He can play d4, he can play c4, he can then maybe come up with b3. There's a lot of options for him here. So his opponent just picks knight f6, completely fine move. c4, hitting the pawn on d5. Black defends it, trying to develop their bishop on f8. Very good move. Black plays knight c3, white plays knight c3, developing their knight. Bishop e7, b3, simply trying to get the bishop on this open diagonal. Castles, bishop b2, c5. Now the idea for black is potentially to go d4, not only trying to take more space in the center, but to also hit the knight on c3. White takes, and now knight takes d5. At first glance, it seems that maybe taking with a pawn is better, but white will then quickly try to take this pawn on c5, and by doing so, this pawn is going to be all by itself. It's called an isolated pawn. It's going to be super weak, and it's going to be easy to attack. Bacrot decided that knight takes d5 was better. He opens up his diagonal for his bishop to go to f6, and he's putting his knight on the center. The problem with this move, however, is that he's removing a key defender of his king. Right now, it doesn't seem like a big deal because white has no attack, but watch what Jan does. He starts off with h4. A pretty innocuous move. It doesn't seem like white's really threatening anything right now. Maybe knight g5, but black simply ignores it, plays b6 with the idea of bishop b7. Normal. Queen b1. Now this is getting a little bit strange. Blocking your rook from a1 completely, can't move. But now we can sort of see the idea, the goal is knight g5 to eye queen h7. So h6, Bacrot has to stop anything. And now g4. Jan goes all out. Pushes both of his kingside pawns, really trying to attack on the king side. However, if you notice, Jan's king stays on e1. He obviously doesn't want to castle kingside because he just pushed two of his pawns there. And he can't castle queenside either because his queen is in the way. Bishop b7, now trying to eye this knight, because if we just simply start pushing, they're going to take the knight, and then they're going to take this knight next. So Jan simply defends it with rook h3. Knight d7. Bacrot probably wants to go knight f6 just to get this knight in the game, and Jan stops it with g5. Does not let knight f6 happen at all. And now h5. It seems that for a moment, black has been able to at least slow down white's attack. But now white brings in a new piece into the game, bishop d3, helping the queen out to attack this diagonal. Knight b4, hitting the bishop, and also putting pressure on this knight. White just goes check, and bishop e4. The reason why they didn't play bishop e4 right away is because the king is weaker on h8 because it's on the same diagonal as this bishop. It's going to be much easier for white to attack the king now that it's on h8. And you're going to see why in a few moments from here. Bishop e4. Now, if he had taken, simply I can lift my queen into the game and start attacking this king. It'd be very hard for black to defend here. g6 might come. I can move my knight to go bishop g7 potentially. It's going to be very hard for black to play. So knight d5. And now knight e2. It seems like Jan is ready to bring his knight over to the king side, maybe to go after this h5 pawn, because this pawn, as I've noted, is pinned. Pawn can't move because then we obviously capture the king. And here black made a mistake. They played f5. Now f5 seems like a good idea because you're able to block this diagonal temporarily. And if we do en passant, which is what happened in the game, black can just take with the knight. However, by doing so, you give white a key square on g5. What black should have done instead is just simply improve their position, either with rook c8 or queen c7, because there's no clear big threats. You could have also moved your king into safety with king g8. f5 takes, and now, as I said, the king is very weak. We play knight g5. And now, bringing in piece into the game, we're threatening a fork on e6. This is now another mistake because now we're able to bring the queen in. We're threatening a mate in one. Obviously, the fork is still in play, and black has no pressure on white's king. So they take on g5, takes. And it seems that maybe he'll play queen g5, but if he does that, white might quickly just castle queenside and then bring another rook into the game with the idea of bishop takes g7, trying to go for the checkmate. Right, so in the game, he decided to play knight f4, which at first glance seems like a good move because you're creating a discovered attack on the queen and hitting the rook. And if you just take the bishop, it seems that you could take rook here. But the problem here is that it's a mate in one. The bishop is working with the queen to deliver this checkmate. Now, black saw this and they played knight d3, but white can just simply move over. And even if you play check, I can just move my king over. Even though the king seems a little bit weak, it's black that has all the issues. Both queen g7 and rook h5 are coming. In the game, black just took this free knight, took the free bishop with their knight, but now notice the king was all alone. Rook takes h5 happened, and then g6. And here, black resigned. Now it seems, why would they resign here? Can't we just simply, go here to attack the pawn? But if they do that, white has a very nice mate in 3. They start off with the move rook h8 check. And if you take, I'm able to bring my queen all the way back down here to h1. And after king g8, this is a mate in 1. Beautiful. And the problem with stopping it, let's say rook f6, trying to have your king run away, is I just change the move order around and I play queen h1 first. I'm now threatening the mate in 1. And if your king tries to run away, I'm going to just take your queen. And white is completely winning. So there you go. I think that was Jan Nepomniachtchi's best game. It was played 3 years ago. And in my eyes, one of the best games I've ever seen in my life. Comment down below what you'd want to see next time. Okay. Have a good day, everyone. Take care. Bye.